Welcome back to Crypto Talk, guys. So let's run down a few things here. So here we are on the daily. I'll get into the weekly in a second, but weekly has a red dot. Even here in the daily, I do like the money flow. It's increasing. This momentum wave is starting to get kind of capped out. VWAP's coming down, so I'm expecting either a consolidation or a pullback at this point in time. You had this massive wick down to about 90,800. About 3 days ago, what was that, Friday? That was a beautiful wick. Yeah, complete liquidity grab, top to bottom. It took out everybody, so now we're pretty much looking for either the high to get taken or this low of this range to get taken. So until that either one of those gets taken, we're range bound. So I will say on this more of a macro pool, we're sitting right on top of the value area high, so I find that bullish in general. So I kind of like that. But let me show you what I'm talking about here on the weekly. Weekly is a little concerning, potentially, but we haven't had a red dot yet in a long time on a weekly since this big old move up. Excuse me. Yeah, back here you had a red dot. So give you two examples of these two red dots. So once you had a red dot, here you had a red dot. You pumped up for 3 more weeks and then you dumped. Then once you dumped, you came back down right around 22%. And then same thing at this red dot. Once you pumped up, you had a red dot, you quickly cascaded down, let's call it 24%. So if we did the same thing here, if this red dot plays out, it doesn't have to, it could just consolidate. I do like the rest of this wave. It's very shallow looking. It looks like it could just be continuation. RSIs are quite tight. Yeah, so it's starting to dip. Excuse me, this is the weekly again. Money flow is starting to dip, but it's really flat overall, thick. VWAP, it looks like it's starting to shallow out and come back up. So this could be like a consolidation I just spoke about, but give you some expectations here. If it dumps down 23%, what is that? Roughly 76. So that would fill the CME gap. Do I have it pulled up still? Let's see. I don't. I think I moved it. Let's just flip over to it in a second. This is also the let's see, the Bitcoin dominance chart. So we'll get into that, but I expect this to drop the rest of the time down to about 46% throughout the rest of this bull market. All right, CME. So here's the gap we have down here. So it runs from 80,670 down to 77,930. That a 23% dump would literally fill that gap, and then we continue higher. Does it have to happen? No, not at all. But also that would backtest the previous highs as support, so it wouldn't be unrealistic in many cases. And let's just pull a fib. Again, this is using the CME chart, but let's just, for shits and giggles here, somewhere in that neck of the woods. It's also the 50 fib on the macro perspective. 618 is coming in roughly around 72,755. Not unheard of, right? But drop on down to, let's say, the 6 hour. As I said before, I'm not worried until we break this yellow line I've got here. I'll make it white because I've got other yellow lines. Sorry, I like the color yellow. I like it for my charts. Anyways, make this line fit as many. You got 4 touches on this line so far. So if it came back down and retested it again, it's still come down to 96,975. Also, you've got the previous day open down here. Actually, it's not, because this is a close of Friday. So there probably will be another gap once this opens again. Current price action is sitting at 99,985, and this is showing completely different. This is a $100,000 price action. So let's just actually scrap that idea. I just wanted to show you this trend line. You could probably show the same trend line over here on the regular chart. 4 hour. Same thing. You can just draw a trend line, right? Draw a trend line that hits the most spots and kind of go that direction. So just pull something like this, make it tighter, and then make it solid, and then make it really fat. There you go. So until we break this trend line, I'm not really too worried. Previous day EQs coming in there. Also, this would be a complete back test of the previous range POC on the larger perspective. But right now we've back tested the top value area high quite well. We've also back tested a key area of support at 99, which was the old high not that long ago. Usually these are very bullish in general. So that's why I had a bull flag breakout here, which didn't really come out of that. But we can always adjust these things, right? So technically we just bled through it or ran it. Or if you want to look at it this way, it's actually back testing it now. I also like to take some of these, again, it's so subjective, but take some of these lines and extend them. So a lot of times you'll find that these things will blow up, back test, come down further down here, hold this line, and then move higher. So the more you do this stuff, the more you get to play around with what actually works, what doesn't work. You can check that out. All right, so that's Bitcoin. So I'm really just watching sideways. I would expect a little bit lower potentially, but right now we're holding. So I'm not really going to be too upset in general. Drop down to the 1 hour for you. And then we have to run down and do another bunch of altcoins. So you got resistance, support, broke through it, back tested at support. So right now I'm more bullish than bearish right now, even though market Cipher B is kind of like on the downside. We are getting rejected from the micro POC, but we are above the macro value area high coming in at 99,250-ish. We'll go with that. So that's what I've got for Bitcoin currently, and I'm about 110 is my target. The 1618 is coming at 111. So once we hit above a 111, 110, I think if we get momentum, we'll push to 125, and then I'm expecting a massive cascade back down to 80,000. So that's my current thought. All right, SUI. I'm just DCAing SUI when this thing's consolidating. What little bit of money I have left over or making, don't have much, money's tight. But letting most of this stuff ride. Like last week I was so busy, I didn't have time to leverage trade, so I did a lot of just holding bags. So moved leverage trading money into certain altcoins. This was one of them. SUI and Solana, I've been moving just trading money into those just for spot, because more likely than not, they're going to appreciate over price of time when I'm not trading. So, and I've got a big bag of BAM protocol, which I'll get into, which is finally starting to consolidate and move again. We've back tested this micro 6181, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times now, and it's holding as support. So I would suspect this will just be one last liquidity grab, back test the daily previous day open, then move higher. So what is higher? 2 new levels coming in here. You got a liquidity grab over here at the for shorts at $2.46. You also got the 786 right above it at $2.48, the 886 at $2.68, and then the yearly high coming in right around $2.90. So if I zoom out a little bit, once you break through this, you're going to run really hard to the next level, which I'll show you in a second. So that's another, let's round up, roughly 30% move, and then band is moving on to bigger and better targets higher up. So let's zoom out for you. And then band has got so much low in price action, I have to zoom out to the weekly. Tells you how far down we are. All right, so once you break above this local high, it's going to give you a release up to this next level coming at about $4.30. So you're going to have almost a $2 jump as soon as you break this local high. Likely, it's going to pump. And also the data is now starting to pull the 200 smooth moving average, which is coming in around $4.12. We've had enough data here on Coinbase for it to finally populate here on the weekly. Positive. Let me get rid of that. I think that's an old price target. And then the next level, you're looking at 560. And that's not even to the 236 guys on the macro perspective. That's just how far down we are. It's crazy. But once you hit over that, once you get above these order blocks here, you can see from this is massive bear structure that would act as resistance, right? So once this broke down here, it came back here, back tested this as resistance, and then the bear market assumed. But now you had a triple bottom with a double, nice big W. I'm expecting a blast up here in the next couple weeks. Maybe not until January, but I think we're going to see a nice steady stair step, which is what you want to see. And then for those of you who are new to band protocol, 618 is up here at 550%. All-time high is roughly sitting at about, call it 950%. And my three main targets for that are the 1618, 2618, and 3618. So $36, $58, and $80, almost $90, $81. So that's a 1,500% to the 1618. 2618's up at 2,500%, and the 3618's up here at 3,500%. So it could go higher, sure. But as Chainlink's main competitor, this has a lot of room to run, especially over Chainlink in terms of just market cap, and it's super, super, super needed in terms of API data. So Solana, everything's consolidating, guys. I'm bullish. It's actually consolidating in the right spots where it's right on the right. It's not, doesn't look bearish at all. It's actually sitting on top of old highs, so it's showing support. It's just liquidating retail traders who are starting to get into the high leverage business here. So I wouldn't mind seeing liquidity grab. And if you don't know how trading works, you've got three, we'll call it four major markets that open up. You've got the U.S. with New York. You've got London. Then you have Asia, which I'll break it down into Hong Kong is the bigger one. And then Australia opens before that along with Japan. So you got a bunch of markets that kind of overlap, but I call it the Asian handoff. So after the U.S. shuts down on Fridays, or let's just say it shuts down for the day, you're waiting for the Asia Open, which usually run between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time based on the daylight savings at the time. Usually the first 2 hours, Asia will dictate direction, and Asia likes to either take the high of New York or take the low of New York. It'll pick one and usually try to mitigate either one of those two. And then sometimes if Asia's boring, then the London handoff from Asia to London is usually when the next big move happens. And that's usually, for me, about 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then at that point, before or after, you're going to have other markets come online. But those are the main three that I see moves with, and I see the ones I usually trade with is obviously New York. It's got the most volume. Second's going to be the Asia, and then third is London. So wanted to touch on that real quick. Solana, I don't see much. 4 hour. Bull flag is what I see. Really what I see here is a falling channel. It's broken bullishly. Could do that. You still could be technically still bouncing in a channel. I like this though. You're starting to put in potentially a higher low and then move back test out and move higher. I like what I see. You want to see stair steps. They're very productive in terms of market structure. What does that mean? It means it adds support on the back test. It means price doesn't just fall right through when it drops again. So I like what I see there in Solana. AVAX, super bullish on AVAX. Again, if you don't know, Bank of America and Citibank have chosen AVAX as their layer one token of choice. Weekly, I still see AVAX being a $350 coin all day, very conservatively. 3618 comes in at 512. 2618's are up here at 373, and then the 1618's up here at 234. Just to get back to the all-time high, you're looking at a roughly 176% move. 1618's up here at 350%. 2618's up here at 615%, and the 3618 and above, it's going to be 800 to 900%. So another great layer one. And again, the move for all these is to play this stuff underneath of it, like 3-bull. The gaming sector is huge for Avalanche, so pay attention to that. And that's going to be the next topic I'm going to talk about now, is pretty much Casper, different coin. I got that over here too. Casper is another great proof of work, very similar to Bitcoin with some added features. Bitcoin is definitely not used for its technology. It's used as a store of value, digital gold aspect, where I feel like where Bitcoin was supposed to be medium of exchange long term in terms of actual money, I think Caspa can actually do that. So read up their white paper. I haven't fully read it yet either, so there's some smart dudes in here for sure. But what I'm playing here is the ecosystem under Caspa, which is underappreciated. So you have things like KDAO, which I've talked about endlessly for God knows how long. Like I mentioned this thing before Thanksgiving, so I've been talking this thing for a solid month now. Yeah, I want to say before November, very beginning of November when a coin dropped. Probably end of October, beginning of November. Anyways, it's building a huge bottom, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. This has got a $1 million market cap. When it pumped up to here, it was like a $3 million market cap. So just do the math on you got a coin that's tiny, it's underutilized, it's got huge utilization, being the only DAO on the ecosystem. DAOs are huge for infrastructure and voting and other key aspects of how things will happen on the ecosystem. It's pretty cool in that regard. So they really don't care about money in general, but this has a hell of an opportunity. The fact that you can't even buy it except for one centralized exchange, which is CoinEx. I believe I have it pinned in the comments below in terms of my referral link. I don't get any money for it. If I do, it's like credit or something. But it's really easy to get. I've actually been pleasantly surprised. They're actually smoother than MEXC was originally. So these guys have had no issues with deposits or withdrawals. And it's the only place you can buy all of the KRC20s. So this is my main holding of KRC20s, followed by you've got, I think Casper's my second largest, which is starting to pump. It's about to hit its head on the 618, so I would expect a slowdown here shortly. Plus, you're starting to get a kind of a bear div on the market Cipher B, but money flow and VWAP are still going up on the hourly, so someone's buying it. Another low market cap coin, Nacho. This is the largest KRC20 on the ecosystem, so we expect a lot out of this guy. But this one's still way down too. We're fighting the 382. Again, I don't know if this has the full data on this chart, but basically getting back to the all-time high is about 85% away, so it's not horrible. I don't have the rest up. I have BERT. I even threw some money into Popcat, spelled with a K. Who knows? And that was a tiny market cap, and I didn't throw much into it, like $100. If it plays out, great. If it doesn't, I'll rotate it later on into KDAO or something else that I take more seriously. DGen, I've been, again, leverage trading this. I don't hold it. I find some stuff that has high volatility on MEXC sometimes when I'm bored with other coins that are moving sideways, and I'll just play with things like this. So this looks like it's going to be a nice rounding bottom, which means you get a nice push. These are like 5 to 10x leverage for me, so just imagine, 5 to 10x on 50%, and it makes good money very quickly, but it can also liquidate you quickly as well, so be careful. Peanut, as we all know, Peanut was the squirrel that was taken out by the New York police. I'll leave it at that. Man, look at that thing. That's a nice chart. Peanut actually has a really nice chart. Surprised. Maybe a back test here of the monthly VWAP was also the previous week EQ, and then move higher. I may have to chuck some more actual money at this instead of actually leverage trading it. I've been leverage trading it too. Interesting. Consolidation like the rest of the market. Spectre AI is another one I've been following with the Discord members. A couple of our whales in our community had pointed this out to me. And it's in blue sky breakout territory. So if you're lucky, this will come back down, back test the previous breakout high, and then move higher. So if you can get in like at anything under $4 is a good deal, in my opinion. $3.35 be a back test of that. Last one I'll talk about as my voice starts to break up is Cubic. Very similar to Caspa, but also tiny. I think it has like a $450 million market cap. So you want to get in stuff that's early. You want to get into stuff that is hard to get a hold of and find. That's why I think like things like the KRC20s, the KDAO, you have to go hunting. Early days of Cardano, when things were cheap, early days of Phantom, FTM, early days of Binance Coin, those were all hard to find and come by. You had to go hunting and finding a spot to buy them. Usually only one exchange had them. And usually shady. Binance wasn't always a legitimate first-class, first-tier exchange. They were kind of sketchy at one point. They were just a sketchy Chinese exchange. So keep that in mind. You want to buy things when others can't get a hold of it that have utility and a community behind it. So that's where everything I've talked about has at this point in time. So, and last but not least, let's jump over to my BLX chart and talk about the monthly. So we just started a new month, right? So we got 22 days left in this candle. This candle is kind of a doji in between. So you got almost the same wick on the top and bottom. So indecisive candle. Looking at market Cipher B, this looks like a continuation pattern where you're kind of going to flatline for a little bit. We could flatline right here the rest of the month with this candle. This could look just like this, close just like this come December 31st. Although I have a feeling we're going to pump higher, but it could be. And I have my yellow kind of cash out top part. I'm looking for 135 as a spot to show a lot of weakness. Show a lot of weakness there. I'm going to start rotating any bit of Bitcoin I have left out of positions into cash. And then I'm going to be looking for other signs in the altcoins. Top 50 altcoins should blow off 3 to 4 weeks after Bitcoin, and then same thing, 3 to 4 weeks after the large altcoins, the micros will blow off. And then usually 6 to 8 weeks after Bitcoin, the whole market's dead. So you want to be very careful. You don't want to try to catch the top. You want to try to catch the last 25% on the up and on the way down. There's where you're removing your money. You're better off selling on green candles than trying to sell on red. That's when things like Coinbase crashes. You can't sell or buy, get out your money. It's notorious. They're already having issues with restricting accounts, so be careful. I only use them for literally off-ramping to my bank account, so just be careful. That's all I can tell you guys, and I can't say much else, otherwise I might get my stuff flagged here. So that's it. Nothing to say is financial advice. Best of luck. You want to find me, head to Crypto Black Wall on Twitter, the Block Art Discord. Need some private coaching, head over to my Patreon, and I will give you an update shortly on Fusio. We will be having a pre-sale on that token here shortly. Try to give you guys as much of an insider heads up as possible where I can on the legal aspect. So I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.